And the way he pulled out that shit that she pulled on Pence, like the last election and shit, which is like, I'm talking and shit. When he pulled that, I was like, yo, like
there you go,
it.
Folks. There you go, Aston. Yeah, I let you just talk right. You started the show off. Good intro, brother. Appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? Got you right there. So, anyways, folks, MCU'S Bleeding Edge. You know how we do it. We carry the conversation right over from the green room over to the area, the radio waves, the internet waves, the morning waves. You know what I'm saying? All that Rick and Morty shit. So we're here to do the Dark Knight Returns or not the Dark Knight Returns, the Dark Knight. I'm sorry.
Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight, sir. We do the Dark Knight, and the Dark Knight came out in 2008. Wonderful year. Who was president in 2008? The first Bush?
Obama.
The second Bush?
Obama. Yes. Come on, 2008.
Oh, that's right. Obama took over for Bush. That's right. We had Obama. That was wonderful. We got Obama phones out of that, right? That was cool.
No, the Obama phones.
Andreas, I didn't know you were gonna wear your BDSM fucking outfit tonight for the show or whatever. I didn't know you were wearing your dungeon outfit that you wear with Dungeon Rick.
No,
looks like he's ready for the gay bar.
For real.
Yo, Andreas, whatever you say in the next few seconds, Andreas, better sound hella like Batman or something cool, because
Andreas, if you went to the massage parlor with that on, they would not give you service.
Good. I don't want to go to the massage parlor, folks. Not even the She-Hulk. Anyway, no, Aston. They've seen this before. This is the Dark Knight mask. Hello, everyone. I am Batman here. So I'm just enjoying my life as a Batman fan.
Andreas is the dark. He's the dark.
Yeah, it's the dark. And thank you. Andreas in the darkness. That's what I call myself. Batlord is here officially. The official Batlord is here.
Oh Lord, you just made my night. You made my whole week, Andreas.
Good. Anyway,
I love it. I should have worn my wig for this event, but I didn't wear it, unfortunately. That's okay. So, all right, The Dark Knight. So, Dark Knight is a 2008 superhero film directed by Christopher Nolan from a screenplay co-written with his brother Jonathan, based on the DC Comics superhero Batman. It is a sequel to Batman Begins and the second installment in the Dark Knight trilogy. The plot follows the vigilante Batman, Police Lieutenant James Gordon, and the District Attorney Harvey Dent, who form an alliance to dismantle organized crime in Gotham City. Their efforts are derailed by the Joker, an anarchist mastermind who seeks to test how far Batman will go to save the city from chaos. The ensemble cast includes Christian Bale, Michael Caine, Heath Ledger, Gary Oldman, Aaron Eckhart, Maggie Gyllenhaal, and Morgan Freeman. The plot. The movie starts off, a gang of mass criminals, great intro scene. The gang of mass criminals rob a mafia-owned bank in Gotham City, betraying and killing each other until the sole survivor, the Joker, reveals himself as the mastermind and escapes with the money. The vigilante Batman, District Attorney Harvey Dent, and Police Lieutenant Jim Gordon ally to eliminate Gotham's organized crime. Batman's true identity, the billionaire Bruce Wayne, publicly supports Dent as Gotham's legitimate protector. As Wayne believes Dent's success will allow Batman to retire, allowing him to romantically pursue his childhood friend, Rachel Dawes, despite her relationship with Dent. Gotham's mafia bosses gather to discuss protecting their organizations from the Joker, the police, and the Batman. The Joker interrupts the meeting and offers to kill Batman for half the fortune that her accountant Lau concealed before fleeing to Hong Kong to avoid extradition. With the help of Wayne Enterprises CEO Lucius Fox, Batman finds Lau in Hong Kong and returns him to the custody of Gotham police. So I'll stop there. Big, pretty solid chunk there, and the whole intro to talk about. Cyber, start us off.
So the intro to this film is really fantastic. That opening sequence with the masked vigilantes going to that bank, robbing it. You get that great, new look of some of the Joker's army people, some of the Joker's, followers, very similar, to previous things we've seen of the Joker's followers and stuff like that. A lot different, not as comical looking as we seen in the 90s films, but overall a lot more, definitely darker, more like the comics, more accurate to that nature. And, this scene, we get that great little sequence with William Fichtner as one of the Bacon Boys that starts shooting the guys. We have that great kind of like back and forth between the criminals as they're shooting each other because the Joker told them to, and how they're talking about the Joker behind his back, which is absolutely hilarious. And you just get that really great like music that's going on, and just a really great opening. And the fact that, the timing of everything was just so well constructed in that sequence, especially when the bus comes flying into the building. He's like, "No, I killed the bus driver," and it comes flying in and knocks that guy down. It was absolutely hilarious. And just every single sequence of the introduction of the Joker, I think, is one of the best introductions to a Joker I've seen in movie history. Now, don't get me wrong, there's been a lot of great actors that have played the Joker, but this introduction to the Joker I thought was just very different and very unique compared to what I've seen in other films. And so I really appreciated what Nolan did with this different type, different kind of opening sequence and, introduction to the Joker. Because as we saw in the end of the last film, we get just the calling card of him. It's supposed to be a Joker card and saying that the Joker is coming up. So I think that was a really great introduction, and a great introduction to, Heath Ledger's Joker. But I got to give props to William Fichtner. I thought he was so fantastic in that sequence, that opening sequence, trying to take them out. And his lines and just his presentation was all done really well. When he gets left there after being shot with the smoke bomb going off in his mouth, which was really cool. It was done really well. And then the fact that he was able to drive that bus right into a giant long range of buses coming totally was an amazing feat. Like, who would have thought that there would be that many fucking buses going down the certain street at that one moment? So, I mean, that was really amazing too, as well. I'm sorry, where are we going up to, sir?
Right at the point that Batman goes to Hong Kong to get loud.
Okay. So this introduction here, as well as we go along, we have once again Cillian Murphy pops up as a Scarecrow. And which is really fun. I love that they have him come back, even though it was a little short role, little cameo, basically. That was great. And his fear of the Batman, I thought was really done well, and I liked what Cillian did with that. And kind of that introduction of reintroducing Batman, into the franchise was really great. Him coming down and smashing into things, and I love the line that Cillian's like, "That's more Batman. That's Batman." After the fake vigilante Batman pops up as well with a shotgun, and that whole sequence was really done well. The action was fantastic. The whole takedown, lots of great one-liners, lots of great dialogue, which was really done well. And then you have, your great reintroduction of course, Rachel's character. And of course, this time we get Maggie Gyllenhaal playing the character. And I don't know what it is. Maggie Gyllenhaal herself, like facially, I don't find her really that attractive. But there is something about her voice that is the most sexiest and best sounding voice. I can listen to a recording of her and she would put me to sleep. She's got just a really great voice. She's got a very feminine, great voice. So as soon as she popped up and started talking, I was like I felt like I was in like a mantra. I was like, ooh, this is nice. And it just, I don't know what it is, but I definitely thought that she particularly, I thought did a way better. I liked her version of the character better than Katie Holmes in Batman Begins. And I think that she brought a lot more realness to the character. I felt she felt more like she understood the role and stuff like that. So even this introduction of her just was really done well. And I liked how it reintroduced that character and given us this really kind of new, even though we know this is a completely different actress, and especially if you're an adult when you saw this, you're like, why is Maggie Gyllenhaal playing Katie Holmes' character kind of deal, type of deal. But at the same time, you're kind of like, okay, I think she definitely was a better choice. So it's kind of nice that, Katie Holmes had other obligations and why she couldn't come back. Because I think that Maggie Gyllenhaal gave this character a way better, ending, as we'll find out later on, and also just a better interpretation. Then we got the great introduction of Harvey Dent, played by Aaron Eckhart, who I think Aaron Eckhart doesn't get enough credit for how good of an actor he is. He really is fun because he was extremely becoming super popular during this time, because around this time, the early 2000s, late 90s, up till probably like the 2010s, he was really becoming a huge name. He had been in The Core in 2003. He had been in several other films over that time frame that he was becoming a big name. Thank You for Smoking and stuff like that. And he just has this kind of like ability to, I don't know, you found him interesting, you found him enjoyable, and you just kind of like was always kind of rooting for him because he always plays kind of those characters that, you're not sure if he's good or bad, but he always does something that makes you like him. He like has that magnetism to him, and I think that that was a great idea for Harvey Dent's character. Now, Harvey Dent is an interesting character. We've seen him a couple different times now, so this is definitely a very different, interesting version of Harvey Dent that we got to see in this film compared to like Tommy Lee Jones' version in the comics and so forth. There's definitely been several different iterations of the character, so I think that Aaron Eckhart's version is. I like that it was very different than what we had seen in previous Harvey Dent's or Two-Face characters. So that was a nice change too as well. But then, of course, we have some great sequences, leading up to him going to get Lau. And, we have Bruce bumping into Rachel. We have, getting to see Lucius Fox again, played by the great Morgan Freeman, who is kind of like Batman's alter kind of like weapons expert man, and gets his costume designs and stuff like that. And I love that Morgan Freeman played that character because I thought he did a fantastic job as Lucius Fox. He was absolutely amazing. Just like Michael Caine as Alfred, absolutely loved Michael Caine as Alfred. I thought he did a fantastic job as well. And, we had a lot of great reintroductions to these great characters that, we briefly, some of them were introduced to in Batman Begins, but didn't really have much time with them. Whereas in this film, we definitely get a lot more of these two characters. So that was really nice to see more of them as well. Kind of a great reintroduction to them. And just, a really solid beginning, opening, really done well. I think that the beginning of this film is far superior to Batman Begins, and just overall was a really fun and great introduction.
Andreas, please.
Yeah. So the opening for this film up to Lau is very spectacular. I mean, first off, when you get to a sequel, you pretty much don't have to set up anything, like you already have your universe up and running. Thankfully we have Batman Begins gave us everything we need to know about this new version of Batman. And so you can see the confidence on Christopher Nolan and his team this time around. I mean, the scale of this film is so spectacular, much bigger than Batman Begins. I mean, like this, the first film, this film sets up the IMAX experience, and you see how Nolan used that and tried to expand the world of Gotham. It was really great. I mean, the bank heisting is so iconic. I do agree with Cyber. One of the best villain introductions. I mean, like this hearing about, like, I like how the goons are talking about who is the Joker, and like they talk about how he's wearing war paint and all of that, and then you see one by one they kill one another because of the orders of the Joker, right? And you see this one Joker clown. By the way, the mask that the Joker wears is actually from the '60s show that Cesar Romero wore in his first appearance. I really appreciate that Nolan did that to like introduction to Heath's version of the Joker here. So that was really cool. And obviously, you see how calculate that version of that clown mask before we knew that's Heath. And when of course William Fincher starts gunning the Joker and his other henchman. It's really spectacular. I mean, the sound effect is really great, and I just love the fact that the Joker tricks his one henchman. He thinks that he lost some rounds, but he actually had one more. That was really great, and it really showed how Joker is very calculating and like he's very ruthless and like just he is so exact, and so it really shows how smart he is. So, and of course, when Joker reveals his face to the bank, William Fisher, it's so iconic when he reveals his face and he says, "I'm I'm a complete stranger," and then like he just put that smile was really great. It's just so amazing. I do find it kind of weird, like how convenient that those school buses come. I don't know if Joker knew here's school time's over. Let me bring my let's do the school bus and like it's so like theatrical and that's like so great. That's something I like about the Joker. And then we cut into getting back to Batman. Really love it. We got Major Crimes Unit. Introduction to this film, which is something that's from the comic books, which is great. And then, seeing Commissioner Gordon doing the bat symbol, which is really great. And of course, we get the reintroduction of Scarecrow. I was surprised, when I saw this in theaters back a long time ago, that Scarecrow was here. And I forgot that, oh, yeah, he did survive. I mean, Gordon mentioned in the end of Batman Begins, we didn't pick up Crane or half the inmates in Arkham. So this was really cool pickup of wrapping up that loose thread in Batman Begins, and that scene is really great. One of the big highlights for me is the action and editing is so much better than Batman Begins. You can see the action much more clearer, and you see more of the fights and the punches more than Batman Begins. So that was really good, and I just love how the dogs bite Batman's armor and he's getting so bruised during this scene, which is really great. And and of course we get the funny Batman voice. Of course, when he says the hockey pads, it's just so funny. He's like, "I'm not wearing hockey max." I'm like, whoa, hold it there, Batman. I know you're using your voice. Sound like you're smoking too much. Anyway, and then we get the introduction of Harvey Dent. I do agree with Cyber. Aaron Eckhart, great actor. I really love him. I mean, his best performance is Thank You for Smoking. If you haven't seen that film, fantastic. One of the best black comedy film. He was a really great actor, and I mean, unfortunately, we'll get into in our discussion. I mean, this movie is is overshadowed by the Joker, and sometimes you kind of forget the Two Faces in this film. Because the marketing it only shows Harvey but not the the Two-Face character, So it's kind of you kind of forget that he's involved, he's heavily involved with this movie, and he's the major protagonist, really, Harvey Dent. But I think he's really fantastic as Harvey Dent. I mean, he's so much better than Tommy Lee Jones. Let's not get into that. He's so much better than Tommy Lee Jones' version of Two-Face from Batman Forever. I mean, so I really appreciate that. Megan Gyllenhaal. I love her. She's a great actress. I agree with Dom. He brought up this was good that she's not a good looking actress, but she's a damn good actress, a great actress. She's fantastic actress without being this hot, as some actress we love and idolize,
I think
so
she's pretty hot. I think she's pretty hot, dude.
Yeah. I mean, but not like Margot Robbie or Scarlett Johansson, but she's she's good looking. But anyway, fantastic actress. I think she's better than Katie Holmes. I think she was better suited for this role, and so I really appreciate the recasting. And of course, I really love still the Batman Alfred relationship. I mean, Michael Caine, fantastic Alfred. You get the humor from him, which is really great. I really appreciate the some of the comic lore here. Like, obviously, Batman not being in the Wayne Mansion is nothing new. From the early 70s of the Batman comic books, he like had to stay in Wayne Tower to like live, like he wanted to live in the middle of Gotham City. So that was really cool that they did this in this sequel. So I really enjoy it. And obviously when Bruce meets up with Rachel in the restaurant, that's another iconic scene. Of course, Harvey saying, love and not to become a villain. That became such a meme and such an iconic line from this film. In the trailers, it's because it comes kind of true towards the end. And then we get the iconic, fully introduction of the Joker when he's talking to the mafia people. I mean, this is where he really shines. I mean, he's so fantastic in that scene. I mean, the pencil trick thing, so hilarious when he say, like, I'm going to show you a magic trick. And then, bam, he kills the guy instantly. It was so funny. And, he's telling the mafia, true, Batman has no jurisdiction. So, of course, they cannot take him seriously. He's, a weirdo, which he takes offensive with, which is funny. Like, he takes offense that he's a freak. And, like, we see that a couple times in the film, which is really interesting. And then we get to the China, like the Hong Kong heisting, the Hong Kong action sequence. Fantastic.
I stopped there.
You stopped there? You stopped there? Okay. So overall, I really enjoyed the intro. Thank you, because you say to him, to Cyber up to Lao. I don't know which part of Lao you were saying, but okay. So
all right.
That's it. Fantastic sequence, much better.
Thank you, sir. Aston.
Yeah, Aston, go ahead.
Okay, I don't want to be repeating what you guys said, so I'm just going to skip some of my notes because you guys always do a good job of the recaps. Pretty thorough, especially my man Cyber over there. Shout for the Fincher callback for sure, because you don't usually see in any bank heist movie that the guy working in the bank actually goes like Rambo and starts popping shots back and stuff. And I recall watching this in the theater when it came out, and parents taking the kids out. I'm like, what did you think this was? And the way Joker has guys working against each other and just taking them each out, all of that, the way the Nolan bros, when they work together, it's always a visually stunning. Like, it reminds you of like Brian De Palma. It reminds me of like Heat, like those good 90s movies where like he really does that thing where he gets the best shots, good angles, and he sets that whole intro sequence up. It has good pacing. The callback to Cillian Murphy, it really had, like, it was nice to see him come back. And then when you think, like, the trivia part of it is both him and Heath Ledger were offered the role of Bruce Wayne. Like, originally they were offered the role and they passed it up, but Cillian was able to get that role. Heath wasn't too interested, so he came back and asked, and that's how it all came to be. And his performance just blows you away. Like, everything, like him and Nolan just figured out a way to really convey this character in a way that, no one has and no one will since, because I can't stand the Jared Leto Joker. I can't stand any of these Jokers. It's Ledger and Nicholson to me. Like, nobody like can compare. So other cameos which were pretty interesting were Anthony Michael Hall and Nestor. Nestor as the mayor and Anthony Michael Hall of Breakfast Club fame. It was crazy seeing them appear and having him as the anchor, asking, like, kind of pressing the mayor about what's going on, when he's going to make some changes, to Ron Dean in the detective's office, and they got like the suspects, and it's like Lincoln, Bigfoot, and Elvis, like the details. Like, I think that's what Nolan brought to the movie, was that sort of British sensibility where they really focus and pay attention to the details. And I feel what made him successful is that he blended Hollywood and that British sort of sensibility in a way that most people haven't done. I mean, there was one scene, like when they're fighting in the parking lot before the meetup with Lau and stuff, where there's Rottweilers running around, and you literally see it's like a fake, like the legs ain't moving. It's like as he throws it off him, I'm like, yo, man, the budget must have went on the explosions and stuff and blocking off traffic in Chicago. But when the fake Batman was there, and it's like, what's the difference between me and you? And he just like quipped quickly, like, I'm not the one wearing hockey pads. I'm like, yeah. That's why, bro. It's like I got the budget. I'm here doing what I'm supposed to do for Gotham. And just to bring us up to the meeting, in the meeting, it was great to see Michael J. White. Like, I totally forgot he was in this movie. He was in the Spawn movie. And Eric Roberts, which we've seen in every B movie and action movie from like the 90s and stuff. So I don't repeat everything everyone else said. That's me. Your turn, guys. Mike's punching out.
Okay, so what we picked up was, Batman finds Lau in Hong Kong and returns him to custody of Gotham police. His testimony enables Dent to apprehend the crime families. We get that court scene. The bosses accept the Joker's offer when they get out, and he kills high-profile targets involved in the trial, including the judge and police commissioner. Although Gordon saves the mayor, the Joker threatens that his attacks will continue until Batman reveals his identity. He targets Dent at a fundraising dinner and throws Rachel out of a window, but Batman rescues her. So I'll stop there. I'll go right back to you, Aston, and you could start off on that section right there.
I think Nolan framed those shots very well. Everything leading up to it, from Lucius Fox to the turmoil to the way he handles Gamble. After Gamble puts a hit out on him, the very adult and graphic nature of the violence is good, but I feel it's offset by some of the cartoonish stuff. Like, there are moments, especially I would say between Rachel and Dent's character, where it does feel a little, I wouldn't say super cartoonish, but it is cartoonish, like where the guy pulls the gun out in the courtroom. I'm like, okay, everyone in GCPD are stormtroopers now. This guy will get a legit gun into the courtroom, and then he'll punch him and do like a smile for the press thing. It's like, ugh. But that party was good to show the opulent and indifferent side of Gotham, and the way it builds up to that, and him throwing her out, and Bruce jumping to do the save. Like, I think it was all done pretty well. Just the way he handles the bad guys, the way he's like cutting them up, the way he makes them like tryouts, and like the whole time you're just getting like goosebumps, as they say, pause, because Heath Ledger, what he did with the role is something like, it's his movie. Like, to me, it's like Bale really doesn't give me much to work with. Like, yes, he has some great scenes, but it's like, it's all like, it's even, you could just hear Heath Ledger, like in the recordings and when he's calling and stuff like that. The voice he did was just everything. Like, that was my takeaway leading up to it, and the stakes just jumping and getting increasingly higher and higher from the murder of this after the commissioner was murdered, right? This is when they said they'll take everyone out, and Bruce put him in the sleeper hold, right? He put, what's his name in the sleeper hold? Harvey. So much happens in there that, unlike other movies, and this isn't just like Batman movies in general, they have a problem where it's either too much action and they sacrifice like the art part of it, but this did both so well, and the performances all around were great. But I just keep coming back to the Joker, and everyone, from even the guys like the less important roles, like they took it seriously, like to Gordon getting clipped, right? That's around, is this like before or after Gordon gets clipped?
This is before, this is when Gordon saves the mayor, after he saves the mayor.
Oh, okay, so
he got clipped.
Yeah. So that's where, yes. So him getting clipped, like all of that, like even that scene where you see Ledger no makeup on and all that, like the attention to detail, the sea of uniforms, the setup with the other guys tied up across the window. It just literally, I don't think we'll see that in another superhero movie because it doesn't feel like a superhero movie. It really feels like a gritty noir action, high budget, movie where Superman happens to be the lead. And just amazing. And going back to thinking of the experience in IMAX, like what Andreas said earlier, seeing those explosions, seeing that action go off before your eyes on an IMAX, and I saw it in an IMAX also at the Cineplex. And amazing. I'll pass it back to you in the studio, Jeff, because I've been overwhelmed watching Heath Ledger's performance, and that middle part we just went through, that second quarter, just amazing. I'll pass it back to you guys.
Cyber.
So this section of the film, this is a great portion that we get kind of see more of, the Joker's kind of thought process and kind of how he deals with things. We get that great introduction, after the trials and everything, and after they bring in all these mafia bosses after Lau being captured, and basically gets them all off the street, and they all are, basically trying to figure out what to do. And the Joker comes in and basically kind of gives them almost like a story or kind of like a presentation. And when he starts going to that story, and like, do you want to know how I got these scars? And he like starts talking about it and gives us that great fucking performance that, I'm sorry, I don't see anybody else being able to do that as well as Ledger did. Ledger did that fucking amazingly. Now, I know a lot of people love Nicholson, and I think Nicholson's version is fantastic. I loved Romero's. I'm a huge fan of the Jared Leto one. I know Aston doesn't like him, but that's all good. But I enjoyed it. I think he's a great version too. I think each actor has given a great different version of the Joker. But out of all of them, Ledger to me presented the Joker how he would be in reality. That's how good he portrayed the character. He was so fucking real. It was just so damn amazing. But just like how he presented the voice and everything was on point. And the fact that him and Nolan were very much on board with everything they went over about the presentation of the Joker was brought out in the filming and throughout the filming. And I remember Nolan mentioning during the editing process, because he started editing this film in the beginning of 2008, right after Ledger had died, and how emotional it was for him to have to look at the dailies and see Heath's performances because of how close they had become and how great of an actor in person he was. So, this was, all of Heath's energy into this character and why this performance is so intense and so amazing. And that beginning sequence there, him getting those crime bosses to agree to his, plea deal was fucking amazing. And I just loved how he presented it and how he brought it. And I think that Nolan did a great job of bringing that to life and giving us something different from all the other Batman stuff we've seen. Now, that's the great thing about the Dark Knight trilogy, is that it's its own whole Batman universe. It truly is. It's so different than all the other films. Even the Snyderverse, from the Keatonverse, from, the Adam West verse, Batman has always altered every time a new actress portrayed the character. And that's what makes Batman such a long and endearing great character. And I think that was such a great portion of this film too, this section here, is that it really divided and changed itself from the previous entries we had seen up to this point. And I love that. I love how dark and gritty this went. And the writing on this particular film itself was just so well written. And they knew exactly what they wanted to present for each of these characters. And in the acting, what you see in this film is exactly what we got right from the script. It was just so well done. Now, going with that, I mean, that scene is very iconic. I absolutely loved it. Love how he just comes in and like takes the boat show and just, gets them all to think. And then eventually, them agreeing to it, and then him starting to take out all these high profile people, and you're just kind of like, holy shit, like, this is insane. Like, he's able to waltz in and out of these places and being able to take these targets out like with no problem is really impressive as well, because that shows once again, just like how they kept saying, what I've in writings, like when they were creating the character of this Joker, they wanted to be so much more of a psychopath versus like say Romero's kind of comedic version, Nicholson's more comedic version. Even though Nicholson's version was definitely very different than Romero's, and he was a little more darker and sinister, he still was very comical, and that's the difference that we saw with this Joker, is that we could see in this sequence, how much darker they went with the Joker's kind of persona, the Joker's thought process. And I think that they did that so well. And it was played out from the writing to the acting to the whole presentation was just done so well. I'm sorry, where are we going to, sir?
We were going to the section where
The party.
the party, yes. After the ball, the party at the Wayne Manor.
Okay, so are we going up to what happens to Rachel or before what happens to Rachel?
After.
Okay. All right, so once we kind of get that sequence going, we have all that going on. We have, all this kind of other little tidbit things going on with Wayne Enterprises and stuff like that. We see Lucius Fox again in this section for a brief time. We get to see James Gordon, of course, again, who is so beautifully played by Gary Oldman. And I absolutely loved the difference that Gary Oldman brought to this Commissioner Gordon, because he was a lot more, I felt, this Gordon was so much more caring and giving and was like genuinely worried. Like he felt like he was a real detective, real cop in real life that you would meet, and you had a situation where something really tragic happened and he would be there to guide your hand. That's the kind of feeling I get with Gary Oldman's version of Commissioner Gordon. And I think that Gary did such a great job of being so different than the other Commissioner Gordons we've seen in films, in the Batman films, Batman TV series, and so forth up to that point. And I enjoyed it. I just thought Gary was so amazing, and he's such a great actor anyways. Like, I don't think he could have been one of his worst films, and I still think you would still love what he did with this character, because he's just that great of an actor. And he just really brought this characterization of James Gordon, especially during this sequence, I feel, up to the T, and it just was done so well. Then we also get, of course, this is the scene section where Gordon saves the mayor. We get that great sequence, which I thought was really great, action-packed. And we have another great scene with the Joker, who threatens, to continue doing these things, until Batman reveals his identity, because this is all part of his plan, along with the plan he came up with the mob bosses. And we get that great scene too, and just like how he presents the video that he makes was absolutely kind of like hilarious. So the fact that how he presents it, it's very kind of like, it's supposed to be comical, but at the same time, how Heath presents it as the Joker is so serious. And kind of like, why he keeps, throughout the film, he always says, why so serious? It's that same type of deal. Like, the video itself is so comical, but at the same time, it's serious. And it just plays off each other so well. And just how it, like, comes out and how it, like, really puts, a knife into people's eyes, saying, this guy is not fucking around. He is truly serious here. And he's already killed a whole bunch of people. So we should really take this seriously. And I loved how good they presented that and how fun that whole sequence was as well. And, of course, then we get to our climactic kind of conclusion of this section of what we're talking about, where we go to the fundraising dinner. And, of course, we have kind of that great sequence where the Joker pops up. He has kind of those great one-liners as he's talking with Rachel and the party guest. And eventually we get to see him throw Rachel out of the window. And you're like, okay, let's hope Batman's there to save her. And thankfully Batman is. But just like how she was thrown out the window was just like freaking insane. And like, any like woman that might not be as accustomed to these types of situations, which we all know that Rachel is accustomed to these kind of situations because of where she lives and kind of what she deals with as the character she is and a lawyer. I think another woman would have been like going insane. So I think Rachel does a great job of keeping kind of her cool during this whole situation, and hands down to Maggie Gyllenhaal for performing the hell out of that sequence. She was just so good in this sequence. Absolutely loved her. I don't think Katie Holmes could have done as great as job, and I think that Maggie really brought it home with that characterization and that whole sequence. And this whole section was just another great part of this fantastic film.
Andreas.
All right. So getting back to the Hong Kong sequence. The Hong Kong sequence, fantastic. This setup is so much Bond. I mean, we all know Christopher Nolan is a huge Bond fan, and just the way Batman takes out Lau and how to take him out from that plane. If anyone knows, that's actually the same way that Tiffany Dalton's Bond did in License to Kill, how he hooked on the plane. Well, Thunderbolt. When you see Sean Connery's James Bond, he gets hooked up from an airplane, and by inflating a balloon up to the air. It's so Bond. Bond X. It is so fantastic. I love that, and I like the new suit. We haven't talked about the new suit. You guys, the new suit here. I know there's mixed opinion on the new suit here. I like it. It looks so much better. He actually moves his neck, which is really great. This is the first time he moves his neck. But I wish the cowl was a little bit it should close off his chin a little bit. But overall, I really enjoyed this new suit. I think it was a great way how to explain he needs to move faster. That makes a lot of sense. He need a new suit to move faster to defend himself from bullets and all that. And so I really appreciate that explanation of why he got the new suit, because nowadays it's like, oh, here's the new suit you have, and it's like, oh, okay, So after Lau, then you get the setup of each person being targeted by the Joker, with the judge, Mr. Loeb, and Harvey Dent. That sequence alone is just so frightening. And just the way the editing just ramps up, it's so intense. I mean, and the music by Hans Zimmer this time around is fantastic. It's very bombastic, but also haunting when the Joker comes into the scene. Because you can hear the tart riff, and it's that's the Joker. This part here is, you can really see Heath Ledger's performance so well. I mean, I was so young. I never knew Heath, and his voice is so different in real life than the Joker. He has a much darker and deeper voice than the Joker. Here, the Joker voice here is so soft and very squeaky. It's just oh my god, that's again, he just transformed himself into the Joker, and it's when you see him in interviews, he's oh my god, he's just completely different from the one here. And one of these I really appreciate about this movie with this version of the Joker is that we don't get no background or origin story for the Joker. That's really nice, and I really like that. And I like the constant multiple stories he tells to his victims, here with Gamble, played by Michael J. White, and Rachel. It's similar to the comic Batman The Killing Joke, where he's telling his origin story, but it's different in the comic book. But he doesn't know what's really real for his memories or origin. So here, just telling these various different stories about how you get the scars is really fantastic. One of the best way to cement the the idea of who is the Joker, and that's really great. And also I want to bring up something. This version of Joker is still funny. I know that he's still a lot darker, but Heath's Joker is still funny. I mean, the way he comes into the party is really funny. When he grabs the the drink, like he flips it and drinks a little bit, or takes shrimp, or like when he talks about like tryouts, he's like, we need to aggressively expand the operation, and it's like it's so funny. Or like, yeah, just he's just so funny, and I'll get to some of the funny moments with the Joker when we get to other scenes, but yeah, I think this sequence is so iconic. You know, I mean, I've seen that party scene so many times and clips. It's just fantastic. Love this part of the movie. I mean, it gets me really hooked up when we get into the really big one with the truck chase. But yeah, that's all I had to say.
This movie spent 4 months in theaters. Isn't that crazy? 4 months.
Yeah, that it was like that before.
So, all right, back to the plot synopsis. So, Wayne struggles to understand the Joker's motives, but his butler, Alfred Pennyworth, says some men just want to watch the world burn. Dent claims he is Batman to lure out the Joker, who attacks the police convoy transporting him. Batman and Gordon apprehend the Joker, and Gordon is promoted to commissioner. At the police station, Batman interrogates the Joker, who says he finds Batman entertaining and has no intention of killing him. Having deduced Batman's feelings for Rachel, the Joker reveals she and Dent are being held separately in buildings rigged to explode. Batman races to rescue Rachel, while Gordon and the other officers go after Dent, but they discover the Joker gave their positions in reverse. The explosives detonate, killing Rachel and severely burning Dent's face on one side. The Joker escapes custody, extracts the Fortune's location from Lau, and burns it, killing Lau in the process. I'll stop there. I'll go back to you, Andreas. Go ahead.
Sure. Yep. So after this is where this is my favorite part of the movie. Batman is in the conflict now. The Joker's rampage on Gotham is dead serious, and he's having the tough time to like probably to give in and reveal his identity. But of course, Harvey Dent himself is not going to allow that. So because he really believes in Batman as the symbol of hope. Like he's been an asset to the uh the Gotham City's well-being for like a year since his first appearance. One thing I did agree with Aston. I mean, it was so weird to see the Joker without the makeup. It's so creepy, but I also love that because it's actually directly from the Joker's first appearance from the comic books. Like he actually did dress up as a police officer in his first appearance, so that was really cool that they did that. When he accidentally shot Gordon when he was saving the mayor. And that sequence is really spectacular. Like so many extras in that scene was like, whoa, so epic. Yeah, and then after Batman, comics, giving up, I really dug Afrin's, because he's very fatherly to Bruce. He's very supportive of Christian Bale's version of Bruce Wayne, and I like that he doesn't say I told you so. Like he doesn't say that, and I really dug that because he really loves and supports Bruce Wayne. And then after that scene, I love that it's so funny. He's like, I did bloody tell you, and then I like how Bruce Wayne tells Afrin, like, I'm gonna tell them that this is your idea. You made me become Batman, and that was so funny. Just love that banter between those two. Very fatherly son relationship. And then of course the conference with Harvey Dent. We got the other famous line, the dark was it the dawn becomes the darkness or something like that. I kind of seen this is where Aaron Eckhart really comes into himself as an actor, and I think he does a really good job of spilling these speeches, which is really great. And then we get into another big spectacular actor scene where the Joker is trying to get Harvey Dent, and this is full on like big action. Like you see like a garbage truck and a dummy truck. I don't know what you call it, like a tow truck or something like that. Like really spectacular. I mean, like pushing out the cars here. I don't know if you missed this, but uh, in the front of the cargo, it say laughter is the best medicine. But if you don't, if you miss it, he put the S saying slaughter is the best medicine. That is so funny from the Joker. Like he spray painted S to say slaughter is the best medicine. In the cargo he's in when he's gonna shoot out Harvey Dent in his protection truck. Or like that time the fire truck is there and is literally fire and they're blocking from the cops. It's literally fire truck. Now that was really funny. Yeah, that highway sequence is so spectacular. And then of course Batman coming in, trying to stop the goons from the Joker. And then, of course, the Batmobile gets damaged, which I don't get. Every Batman movie, his Batmobile gets damaged or get explosion. I don't get why you know, how you say uh, the filmmakers wants to destroy the Batmobile. Come on, like the Batmobile is great. It's a cool car. But anyway, Batmobile gets destroyed. But just like any Bond film, we get a big surprise here. We'll get another vehicle from Batman, the Batpod, one of the best vehicles ever from the Dark Knight trilogy, one of my favorites. You know, obviously it's a new version of the bike cycle, if you know your Batman lore. So the Batpod comes in, very fantastic. I love how the wheels turn was really great. It's just so spectacular. And then when he shuts the wire to stop the train, like the truck, flip it over, like that was so spectacular in theaters. I saw this in theaters twice. That truck flip was still spectacular. So like whoa, you know. And then it's funny when the Joker comes out, he's like a little out of it. He accidentally shot, you know, his gun when he was coming out from the truck. And then you see the Joker saying, trying to trying to push Batman's buttons and tell him to hit him, to kill the Joker. And I really like that, Batman doesn't do it because he has his no cool rule, and that's one thing I really appreciate about the Dark Knight film. They really push the emphasis on Batman. Like, he is not gonna kill someone, like he thinks that every criminal is very simple because he's training from Ra's al Ghul. But you face the Joker, who is not like Ra's al Ghul, who is completely the opposite, who wants to see the world burn, as Affleck say. He doesn't care about money and all that. He only cares about destroying the order and the civilization completely. And that's the one scary thing about the Joker is and the way he talks about life. It sounds very true. When we get into it, when he talks to Harvey Dent. Where's the stopping point, Jeff?
You're there, sir.
Okay, so this sequence, my favorite, love it. Very excited to get into the other parts that are fantastic.
Okay, Aston.
Yeah, for me, some of the best parts here, I would say, again, the show is stolen by Aaron Eckhart. If it isn't Heath Ledger, it's Two-Face. I feel it's really about the villains, and Nolan really did a good job of, he did his dead friend justice by really making these scenes stick. Because if we recall, right after Dent kidnapped a guy, the DA legit kidnapped somebody after
the guy he kidnapped was in the Suicide Squad.
Yes. Yo, nice one, bro. Nice trivia. I see you there snickering with the red cap, man, trying to be Fred Durst, but it ain't 2003, baby. But I love it. You were right on that one. But I loved that they literally showed you he was already Two-Face at this point. Yes, he reveals later that it was a fake coin when he was with Maggie and stuff, but this guy keeps getting done dirty, and him snapping, it's like they showed the inevitability of it because he played by the rules. He's about to lose his girl. He doesn't know it, but he's about to lose his girl. He does, and he's gonna do the right thing every time. So but here he's got this guy kidnapped. He's playing, flipping the coin. He knows what the result is, but he takes a little too much pleasure in it. And then Batman coming in, feeling he has to, like, reluctantly do what he's supposed to do, like turn himself in and shit. And it's like the fact that he let Harvey do it, like the way it plays out, like it took me back to seeing that in the movies the first time round. I'm like, what? This crazy. Like, and as someone who's read the comics, watched all the other movies, the Nolan take definitely comes across a lot better. I mean, this part of the movie is showing you, like what Andreas was saying, like a lot of people can feel like the Joker, and I feel he was the first villain that everybody really got behind after this. I mean, think about the cosplayers. How many of us have seen everyone start doing the cosplay with the makeup and the lipstick all over the face so it looks like you cut yourself up? Like that, it's that impactful. And the performance, like the shadowy interrogation, like let's like just home in on that scene. We just have him, everything went down, the truck flipped over, and now we got this, like that was so well orchestrated. And it's sort of like it calls back to what Nolan did good in the first one. It's like give one real explosion at the end out of the 3-4 big ones you have, and that truck flip, indeed, sir, like I tip my hat for you pointing that out. But for me, it was the interrogation scene where you have Gary Oldman playing off Heath Ledger in that moment in time, and it's like knowing that Heath Ledger isn't here, like thinking which take was it, and then the way Batman comes and snatches him up, and very well done. I mean, the voice does get a little grating at that point, and like Heath Ledger carries a lot of those scenes. He might not be the best in shape looking specimen, but he's not supposed to be. And the realism of it, like him not being this super kung fu guy, him not being the sharpest wit, but he is still sharp enough. I feel that came across the sociopathy of this guy, such a sociopath, psychopath. And yeah, that's, I don't want to go further in my notes, because did we get to the letter?
We stopped where Joker gets caught at the end of the.
Okay, so the interrogation. I'm not going further than that. Okay, so okay, punching out.
Cyber.
So this sequence here, I mean, is quite a bit of stuff there. The kind of the origin story of how Death becomes Two-Face. We get the death of Rachel, which I did not see coming. I was really shocked the first time I saw this and that happened. I was like, are you serious? They just killed off Rachel? I'm like, what the hell? And I just remember thinking about something like, really? You bring in Maggie Gyllenhaal, who did such a way better job, and you kill her off. I was like, are you effing kidding me? I'm like, no. I'm like, seriously? I was like really shocked by that. But still, at the same time, I think that it was a great way of pushing Bruce Batman into the direction he really needed to go. And so, Harvey, basically becoming Two-Face at this point here was an interesting take. They decided to take that route. And versus, in a lot of the comics and everything like that, he basically has always gotten, burned by acid, and basically it left his face kind of weird looking. As we saw with Tommy Lee Jones' version, it was like he was colored. In the comic books itself, it's very similar. But this they took to the whole level of it being more realistic, and they have it where like literally half his face is burned off. And I remember the first time seeing him going, okay, that's an interesting take on this. Most definitely, that's a definitely more realistic approach to the characterization. I get it, because if you think about it, in reality, if a person had acid thrown on their face, half their face would be dissolved off. they'd probably be dead too. So the fact that he's still alive and half his face is gone, that's very much comic origins. So we slowly see kind of the beginning of his descent into becoming Two-Face, right here. And, I think Aaron Eckhart, once again, like I said before, I think he was a tour de force in this film. And I think that his rapid decline, especially after what happens with him and Rachel, is really great in this portion of the film that gives us a really great, kind of different take on a Two-Face version. As this section goes on, of course, we get more of that. We get more action with the Joker. Of course, we have that great scene where that giant truck gets blown over, which was really fucking awesome. This is no, we haven't got to the hospital section, right?
No.
This isn't the hospital. Okay. Anyways, so we have that great sequence where, like everyone has said, finally they capture the Joker. We have that great kind of sequence of chasing him, which was really done well. Great action, great choreographed by the action team and all the stunt people and stuff like that. I believe this sequence is also the sequence where the one stunt double that they paid tribute to in this film, he passed away during one of these stunts in that section of the film, if I remember correctly. Unfortunately, we had two people that passed away from this film, prior to it being released, which was, really sucked. But great action, great sequence of events leading up to the Joker's capture. And we get a really great idea of where the film's going, a really great idea of kind of the mental state of a lot of the characters and kind of where they're going. And I think this is a really great this is a great section kind of like of that filler type of portion of a film, but it doesn't feel like filler. It actually is exciting. It's adventurous. It keeps you going. It keeps you wanting more. And I think that that's a great indication of a great film is if you have filler type stuff and it's entertaining and enjoyable, that shows a really great writing team. And this section of the film really showed that and proved that.
Okay. So Wayne Enterprises accountant Coleman Reese deduces and tries to expose Batman's identity, but the Joker threatens to blow up a hospital unless Reese is killed. While the police evacuate hospitals and Gordon struggles to keep Reese alive, the Joker meets with a disillusioned Dent, persuading him to take the law into his own hands and avenge Rachel. Dent defers his decision-making to his now half-scarred, two-headed coin, killing the corrupt police officers and the mafia involved in Rachel's death. As panic grips the city, the Joker reveals two evacuation ferries, one carrying civilians and the other prisoners, are rigged to explode at midnight unless one group sacrifices the other. To the Joker's disbelief, the passengers refuse to kill one another. Batman subdues the Joker but refuses to kill him. Before the police arrest the Joker, he says, although Batman proved incorruptible, his plan to corrupt Dent has succeeded. So I'll stop there. I'll go to you, Cyber. Big chunk of the film there. Have at it.
Can you repeat that, please? Because I did not get anything what you just said.
You didn't hear that?
Nope.
I said...
All I heard was blah, 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 because you did it so fucking fast.
Is that how it sounded, Andreas?
It was pretty fast, buddy.
Okay. Wayne Enterprises accountant Coleman Reese deduces and tries to expose Batman's identity, but the Joker threatens to blow up a hospital unless Reese is killed. While the police evacuate hospitals and Gordon struggles to keep Reese alive, the Joker meets with a disillusioned Dent, persuading him to take the law into his own hands and avenge Rachel. Dent defers his decision-making to his now half-scarred, two-headed coin, killing the corrupt officers and the mafia involved in Rachel's death. As panic grips the city, the Joker reveals two evacuation ferries, one carrying civilians and the other prisoners, are rigged to explode at midnight unless one group sacrifices the other. To the Joker's disbelief, the passengers refuse to kill one another. Batman subdues the Joker, but refuses to kill him. Before the police arrest the Joker, he says although Batman proved incorruptible, his plan to corrupt Dent has succeeded.
Okay. So yeah, that is a big chunk of the film. We we got the great hospital sequence when Ledger pops up in that fucking nurse uniform. It's absolutely freaking hilarious. And when he goes in and talks to Dent, it's absolutely a priceless sequence, especially with the special makeup effects they had on Dent to make him look like Two-Face. You're just kind of looking at him and going like, that is just so fucking gruesome. Like, that is gruesome as hell. But at the same time, you're like, oh, I definitely can see that turning somebody to the other side. Definitely not being mentally, secure there anymore. And his whole disposition the whole time, the Joker, and just Ledger's performance was so freaking awesome. And just like how he how he walks in the dress is absolutely freaking hilarious too as well. And that scene is probably one of my all-time favorite scenes just because of how well Ledger performed it. And the reaction I feel that we got from Aaron Eckhart in that sequence, I think he did not see some of the things that Ledger was going to say. Because I do recall, I remember Nolan mentioning during the process of this that sometimes they would switch up right before they did the scene. They would switch up some of the things he would say to kind of throw people off a little bit, to give a little bit more of a mystery to what he was going to say to get better reactions from the cast. And I remember that this particular scene was one of those scenes that they kind of Ledger decided to kind of go way off script a little bit, and it panned out to perfection. Especially when after he walks out of the hospital and he's hitting the button trying to get to explode, and finally explodes, and he's like, like it's on point, fucking hilarious and awesome, because that was totally what I feel a real person that is a Joker would do, and it's exactly just works out so well. Now, as the movie progresses and and we get more kind of like Bruce Wayne dealing with the situation about identifying himself and moving on, stuff like that, we really see kind of a great, interesting kind of dilemma for Bruce. We learn a little bit more about Bruce in the sequence, and that how he really, he is still kind of torn between him, his thought process of why he's Batman and at when he's not Batman and as Bruce Wayne and stuff like this, and the past coming back and about his parents and getting revenge, vengeance for his family, and then kind of the thought process of what he learned from Ra's al Ghul and all that kind of stuff. And so, as was mentioned in the synopsis there that Mr. Jeff had mentioned, that Batman is infallible. You could definitely see that. That's what makes Batman Batman, and why he is the perfect choice to be a defender of Gotham, and that he does have something different than any other person that's just a vigilante out there. He does have a certain sort of thought process that changes him from all the rest. Now, the ferry thing was freaking awesome. I love the whole concept, having the two different ferries, one being cons, one being just civilians, and they explode at midnight and stuff like that was so freaking cool. I thought the whole sequence where everyone was so scared and they're like not sure what to do, them trying to figure out what they could do to stop the bombs from going off, and stuff like that was really done well. And it just brought kind of another great inkling into this film franchise of mystery and intrigue and thriller feeling, and kind of like hero has to save the day type of feeling. And they just did such a great job of the writing with that. And this whole sequence I thought was just so well written as well, that like I said, it kept you entertained and in the thought process the whole time you're watching it, and you're just enjoying it, and you're not finding any downtime that you feel is not entertaining. And even with the ferry sequences, there was, I felt like, definitely you could consider that some of that portion a little bit of filler going on, but because how well written it was, it didn't feel like that. Once again, like I said earlier, it did not feel like that, and so it was so entertaining. And that was one thing I remember too reading about Nolan, is when he was editing the film too and getting it to the certain particular runtime that it ends up at. He said that a lot of the stuff was already cut before they actually started editing the film. So what you saw of this 153-minute cut is what they filmed. So there really isn't a lot of editing that they did, and a lot of deleted scenes and stuff like that that they took out to get this cut of the film. And that was one thing that Nolan really wanted to do, was he wanted to make the film to his specification, not what Warner Brothers or what others were expecting of him. He wanted to do a cut of the film that was genuinely from him, and especially with Ledger dying, he really wanted to give that OD to Ledger too as well. So a lot of everything you see in this film, in this final cut, the theatrical cut and everything, it was already kind of filmed that way, and there really was no cuts. So I thought that was kind of an interesting little tidbit for Nolan about that. I did not see that coming. I didn't really realize that that's kind of how he intended to film it. But leading up to where we at, basically in the synopsis, this is just a really well done, and once again, great sequence. Lots of great action, lots of great dialogue, lots of great, people returning to give great performances in the sequence. And just overall, I found it's just super fun and exciting. And I have nothing bad to say about it. You're muted, Jeff.
Thank you, Simon. Aston.
Okay. I feel that when you guys really talk about it, you guys are very thorough. So I'm gonna again try and avoid stepping on anybody's talking points, just so that the fans out there and people tuning in at home don't have to hear me talk again about, because you guys do such a good job of it as it is. But for me, I would say the stakes of everything that happens with Joker, after, pretty much like Rachel being dead and everything, like you're wondering what's the next thing, and seeing that slide of Harvey's, especially when he tells Gordon, like, you're going to be sorry. And everything subsequent from that, you're like, what's going to happen? Are like the boat, perfect example of one. I was convinced something was going to happen, that one of those boats was going to be going down, and it didn't. And it felt good. Like literally he has you at the edge of your seat, and not one frame is wasted, not one shot is wasted. The choreography works. The progression of both of these antagonists, like, and just seeing Dent go from being the good guy to the bad guy, that switch, and it's sad, man. It's sad. And we have this when Jimbo's kid's taken, right?
No, not that far.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So literally, just are we at the ferry, or
Past the ferry?
just
In between the ferry and when that happens.
okay? Because my notes like are a
The
little.
ferry scene ends, and then you have the scene after that with Two-Face and the kids and all that.
So
okay.
it stops at when the Joker is captured by the police. That's the end point.
Okay.
End point.
Okay.
Yeah.
The one thing I did like about that fight sequence, though, when he was going through the house and everything, the way they had the hostages taped with weapons in their hands, because there's a lot of situations where that goes real bad. I feel the Nolan brothers wanted to set this and make this as realistic as possible, to make someone as psychotic and sociopathic as the Joker that you like him, because he did wind up being that Joker is the Joker. How many kids grew up with that Joker? He, like, we've all said it, like, he is, like, probably to all of us, he is our favorite Joker. And what he does in this, like, he keeps pushing it, and seeing him not shy away from saying, okay, we set this guy up to be that psycho, we're going to put him in a dress, we're going to have him do bad jokes, but these bad jokes are going to actually work. We're going to have the prestigious on with the makeup, without the makeup. And that fight sequence where he's just wailing on Christian Bale, I mean on Bruce Wayne, that one just before he gets caught, where he's literally just like, he lets the dogs loose and he's just like pummeling him. Like, the hostages didn't work. Nothing slowed him down, and he's here like literally he leaves him hanging. Literally leaves him hanging. Like so it's like that poetic justice of it all was just crazy to me, and it was just sad. It was just sad thinking like there's no like to touch on what Cyber said now, like there are no reels that we didn't see. There's no missing deleted scene that they can do like a Blu-ray and that we get a little more Heath Ledger, or yeah, kind of somber. I'm sorry, guys. Like you guys are so thorough. What can I do? Sometimes like even my notes can't be that thorough. You guys are so good at this. Thank you so much. Back to you in the studio, Jeff.
Andreas.
All right. The third half of the climax of Dark Knight. Yeah,
there was only two halves, sir, in a whole.
Yeah, well, okay, like if you see Aliens, like there's like a fourth ending that no one knows about, and that's basically what Dark Knight has. There's another ending I was not expecting. In this case, Two-Face. But anyway, I didn't know if they're gonna do the Two-Face thing. Like that's the one thing I want to bring up. I was so surprised when his face got burned. I was like, oh, okay. And then when he's talking to James Gordon, and by the way, it's very funny to see characters like yelling. It's like, what was Erica saying? Yeah, he's like, say it. It was my name from the the police. They're calling him a different name, and of course it's Two-Face. Like, oh, like by the way, the way they drop his name Two-Face, it doesn't make sense. Like the reason he's called Two-Face, well, because he has half face, but it's also very under the nose of like he literally had like a split personality. One of the nitpicks I have here this movie, and this movie is great, but there's certain things I do have to nitpick, and that it's not perfect movie. It's just the way they depict Two-Face here. I don't mind switching the acid to the burn. I agree with Cyber. That makes more sense. Because when you have acid, like, it is going to dissolve. I always wonder how the hell did he survive from that. So I appreciate that. But one of the things I was really annoyed, I think the later years when I got to know Two-Face as a character, he had a really great psychological split personality that you know about Two-Face. And the fact this version doesn't have a split personality doesn't make sense as Two-Face. But, what it is, I mean, it's a movie. And I mean, I gotta say, the special effects for that Two-Face is still well done. I mean, it hasn't dated at all. It looks still great after 15, 16 years. It's very incredible. I think the Dark Knight special effects crew did a really good job of depicting this version of Two-Face. Much better than the Two-Face from Batman Forever, here and there. Yeah, and of course this is where we see Heath with the nurse, which is so funny. This is where here, like, the Joker is really funny here. He has the wig, and then when he's talking to Harvey, when he's saying like, "Look, Harvey, I'm sorry about you," and he's trying to think the girlfriend's name, and of course Two-Face yelled Rachel, and he's like, Rachel. I wasn't me. I didn't read those charges. He's so funny, and just the way he just tricks Two-Face into becoming evil is really great to see. And oh my god, the bomb scene is so funny. When he comes out, it's like, oh, the explosions, like, oh, like that, and then it stops for a minute. I was like, well, what the hell happened? And then he clicks it. He's like, come on, blow it, and bam. Clicks, it bombs again. It's so funny. It's so hilarious. Cyrie brought up like improv or unscripted moments. The party scene when Alfred was going into the elevator, and Heath comes out from the elevator. In that scene, Michael Caine had a line there, but because when Heath's appearance from the elevator, he jumped him. So he didn't say a word, and that was the cut they kept from Christopher Nolan. That's another great scene. If anyone knows that was a very improv scene. Michael Caine was supposed to say something in that scene, in the party scene, but Heath's jump was so fantastic that got him to be scary and didn't say anything, and they kept that in the film. Was really cool, learning from so many years when that film came out. Yeah, and then of course, Rachel dying, because Batman, like Bruce really thought if Gotham becomes better, he thought him and Rachel would be together and like have a happy ending. But the fact that Rachel had the answer that yes, but I am in love with Harvey Dent. I want to be with him, and so unfortunately, it was a very tragic thing for Bruce not to hear, and like now lost the one hope he had for a normal life. And I appreciate that Alfred say that you had to keep going to at least make things better after this event. Uh, but yeah, and then after that, you get the ferries, the boats, very iconic thing. I really like, again. It's as Joker said, it's a social experiment. Seeing the good citizens of Gotham and the bad guys, the criminals make this choice of killing one another, and the fact that they didn't kill either one of them is very fantastic. The actor who throws the charger is fantastic. I mean, he's in films like The Fifth Element and the Friday films. And I was surprised he was in this film too. And the fact that he throws the detonator out of the window was like, wow, he made the right choice. And then of course the citizens didn't have the guts to do it because they're not killers. And then the building attack, fantastic. First off, in the chat we've been bringing up a couple of times Batman Forever. I was so happy, and none of you guys have brought up this. The eyes, the white eyes for Batman. That was one of the clever things that Nolan did, was to, because in the comics Batman has white eyes, and obviously in the films, up to this point, they didn't use the white eyes because you want to see the actor's expression. I get that. But since Deadpool and Spider-Man and the MCU, you can see their eyes moving, which is great. I wish we could have that with Batman. But Batman Forever and Dark Knight did a really good job of using sonar technology. And I really like they make the white eyes like that in a very realistic way. And that was really cool. When I saw that in theaters, I was like, oh my God, the white eyes for Batman. And that was so fun. I really dug that. And it looked very video game to see like the levels. It was like really great. I thought that was like really fantastic to like pump you up with the action. One of the things I really like this film, and it's funny that the scene. I want to talk about the scene with Lucius and Batman, because this film. One of the things that this film feels relatable for a lot of people, that this film is very much a 9/11 like commentary on those events, and I know
Not a 9/11 commentary.
well, yes, especially with the Lucius Fox, because remember there was a lot of issue with the Bush administration, the tap phones.
Patriot Act. Yes, Andreas, you're spot on with that one. There was a lot of
That's
because
one part of the
Patriot
film.
Act.
That's
So,
just one
Yeah.
part.
I'm not gonna go through with that, but like, I don't know if that was intentionally from Nolan, but it was very funny when they did that with the scene I'm talking about, when Batman like took Fox sonar technology that he did in the beginning of the film, with the Hong Kong thing. Yeah, he I say made government contract to amp up all the cell phones in Gotham to like have us connection of old sonar and around Gotham to track down the Joker. And I was very surprised they did that, and the fact that Lucius said that that I will do it for once but if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna resign my resignation. And again, one of the great things about this film, that I think Cyber brought up, previously, how like, how dark and realistic this film is. It was really cool how The Dark Knight handled those political commentary that they brought up. That was something that none of the superhero films haven't done up to this point. Like, the reason I like the first Iron Man film, felt like we're in the real world. Like, he was in Afghanistan, his origin story, and like the war on terror. And here they're doing it as well here, the war on terror, but differently, using the Joker as a terrorist. And it was something we never saw that in the film, and I really appreciate how Nolan used the real world events into this comic book movie, and I think they did a really good job with that. Yeah, and then of course, one of these I appreciate this, and this is very sad. I really appreciate they didn't kill the Joker off, just like the '89 film, and it was great how Joker laughed when he was falling down, and then Batman saves him, and I really appreciate, they acknowledge that him and Batman, we're gonna do this forever. Like they're gonna go on and do this forever, and it was just sad because I knew that he passed away. I mean, I wasn't, I was aware of his death at the when the film came out, and I was very sad to see that. I was like, oh my god, and the fact that the reveal was it wasn't about the bolts, it was actually Harvey Dent, like corrupting Harvey Dent into evil was his ace in the hole, and that was a big shock and fear for me. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Just like the Killing Joke, but differently. In Killing Joke, the graphic novel, it was about how he was psychologically attacking Gordon in the Killing Joke to improve prove that everyone like him in that graphic novel that can have a bad day and like they can go crazy. This is the opposite of that, where he's trying to prove Batman that everyone is not good, everyone is corrupt, like the Joker and like the mob. And so I really loved that they did use that, and that Two-Face was the heart of that. So fantastic sequence, really love it. This is like what you call it, like on the like edge of my seat, because it's so like intense and spectacular. It's like one of the best feelings of a film, and that's all I have to say.
Okay, so Dent takes Gordon's family hostage, blaming his negligence for Rachel's death. He flips his coin to decide their fates, but Batman tackles him to save Gordon's son, and Dent falls to his death. Believing Dent is the hero the city needs and the truth of his corruption will harm Gotham, Batman takes the blame for his death and actions and persuades Gordon to conceal the truth. Pennyworth burns an undelivered letter from Rachel to Wayne that says she chose Dent, and Fox destroys the invasive surveillance network that helped Batman find the Joker. The city mourns Dent as a hero, and the police launch a manhunt for Batman. So that's the final, that's the end of the synopsis for Batman for The Dark Knight. Andreas, you can go first, and then we'll do our ratings and we'll plug out of here.
Yeah. So this is what I meant. Aliens, the fourth ending. You thought we were done, but no. I was like, oh no, Harvey Dent, and bam, Two-Face, Commissioner Gordon here, trying to save his family, and then you get Two-Face him just telling him the truth is like, this is all your fault, Gordon. If you stood up corruption, none of this happened, and that's what happened. And I mean, fantastic thing. I mean, Gary Oldman, fantastic. He's still one of my favorite Commissioner Gordons, and this is his best performance. I'm so happy he's a commissioner in this film, and he's in a lot of pressure now in this film. The latter half of this film as a commissioner, and seeing his family being threatened, by Two-Face is like very tense. I mean, this is very tense. Like this, like him threatening, like pointing his gun at his family is like so dark and very intense. And then of course Batman comes in and doing his Batman voice, so silly. I was like, oh come on, now you're in the scene. It's like, don't hurt the boy, Harvey. And his Bobby voice. It's like, seeing Two-Face filming his coin, and then when he got to the kid, I was like, oh my god, it's gonna be really tense. And then of course Batman saves the kid. I thought, I don't know what you guys think of this. I thought Two-Face wasn't dead. Like I mean, I know that fall was very high, but
he died.
yeah, I know. I mean, Nolan confirmed that. Like he was so adamant of that. The reason I'm bringing that, I think you could have used Two Face, the main villain in the next Dark Knight film, if Nolan, had the heart to do it. Obviously he did when we get into Rises, but I feel like it was a wasted opportunity to not use Two Face, this version of Two Face, Aaron Eckhart, because I think I really like Eckhart as Two Face here. I don't mind the changes. I think you could have made him a really great villain for the next film. I think it kind of wasted killing off Two Face here, and that's my only nitpick for that. It's just the way they handle him here is okay, but very emotional final sequence, seeing the letter being burned. Lucius discovering that Batman was going to destroy the thing anyway, which was really great. When that smile happened, he was like, "Oh, yeah, well, Mr. Wayne, he was like 2 steps ahead of him." And just seeing Batman taking the blame was like really like, oh my god, kind of sad. And just hearing Criminal Gordon's speech, he's the watchful protector, the guardian, and then seeing Dark Knight and then blank to the screen is like, oh my god, so epic. After that, I was like, best movie ever, best Batman film, and I think this ending totally delivered the film, like the beginning to end is like spectacular, like no drop offs. And I agree with Cyber, the fillers, even the filler in some parts doesn't hurt the film. Like it's still great.
Cyber.
I just gotta first say that Time Cop's impersonation of Batman was kind of like SpongeBob. It was Batman, so I just want to make sure that's clear to people out there.
I'm ready.
It's pretty much what it was, people. It's SpongeBob Batman, or SpongeBat, as he's called. So yeah, just FYI, everyone. I mean, as we kind of mentioned in the comments over here, about Tom Hardy's version of Bane in the next film we'll be talking about. Good God, can't wait to talk about that. Holy shit. What type of the worst fucking voiceover I've ever heard. Now, Tom Hardy, I absolutely love him as an actor, but I don't know what the fuck they were thinking when they decided to have Bane talk like that. No clue. But anyways, the conclusion of the film, it really was surprising. Having them kill off Dent, Batman taking the blame, which totally was something I could see happening. Keeping the blame on Batman because he's a vigilante already. Batman can handle it type of deal. And, I think that conclusion where it really shows kind of like how much Dent has lost it, and he allowed the Joker to fill his mind up with the wrong things, doesn't really, go along with that great split personality as Mr. Time Cop talked about earlier. It's more of like just a person gone crazy, basically, versus an actual split personality like the actual comic book character is like. So once again, as we've mentioned, several times now, how this film is trying to be more on the more realistic level, is kind of probably what a real Two-Face would end up doing. Just be a person that loses their mind and kind of goes berserk. But that final conclusion of capturing the Joker, not killing him, fantastically done. A great conclusion to Heath Ledger's phenomenal performance as the Joker. Him upside down laughing and stuff like that was really fantastic. Him even tried to still do some crazy things while Batman's like saving him. So that was really awesome. And, Bale's performance as Bruce Wayne and Batman will go down in history as one of the best Batmans, of course, of all time. He just was fantastic as the character. He played the character to the T. He had a lot of great lines. He had a lot of great charisma to the character. He played the character very well. And I know how we kind of mentioned the voice a little bit about Chris Bale's voice version of Batman, kind of being that dark voice like this. It was definitely different. It was something that we hadn't heard before. But if you think about it, if you are a person that is really well recognized, really well known, and you're trying to hide and be a vigilante, I mean, you kind of have to have a different voice. You have to kind of change it up. And, I think that probably at whatever level that voiceover type of was for, Christian Bale, that probably worked the best for him. And that's probably why they decided to go with that version. And I think that, it wasn't as bad as they make it out. Nowhere as bad as Bane. But at the same time, I still think that it was pretty funny, especially all the kind of like parodies that they did of his voicing of the character has been hilarious over the years. And stuff like that. So it's been hilarious. But overall, I think that Bale did a great job at the very end of this film, throughout the whole entire film. And I think he really capped it off pretty well, especially with him starting to leave and trying to get away before he's captured by the police and stuff like that. And I think it was done really well. I mean, the takedown of Dent was really done well as well. It's kind of interesting, how kind of the height discrepancy that they show in the film, as Mr. Time Cop had mentioned as well. It definitely didn't look like it was as high as they tried to make it out for him to fall to his death. It really didn't. And I think that the angling is the problem, is that just how the camera was angled. I don't think it's angled just right to give you really the real perspective of what the height was supposed to be. So I think that's kind of why that gets thrown off a little bit. But definitely killing off Dent was a really bold choice, a really interesting choice, compared to what they've done in the previous films in the past. And pretty much any of the films, pretty much the villains always lived. They never died. They didn't kill them off and stuff like that. Kind of like how the Killing Joke has been brought up a few times, where, one of the first animated really films that they really killed somebody off kind of permanently. So I think that it's one of those things that going for that more realistic viewing point definitely is the catalyst for this film. And this conclusion really was trying to go for that in full tilt. And it really did well at observing that. So really great conclusion to a great film, leaving it off for, a start to a third and final film. And I think that the ending of the film was really solid, really well done, great music, great action, and overall just a really great conclusion to a fantastic film.
Aston.
I really like the movie for sure. For me, I would say the ending, I never saw them killing off someone like Two-Face, because I felt there was so much more there, to piggyback off what Andreas said and to agree with what Cyber just said. It felt like a shame, because you killed off two big characters. You killed off Rachel and you killed off a villain. He locked up everybody else, and I can remember the gravitas of those final few minutes of literally the monologue of Gordon and stuff. All of it, like, because I haven't watched this movie in years. And everything just hit a little bit different. It just hit a little bit different for me this time around, seeing, and the voice, like, I'm not gonna lie, the voice of Batman, it just, at times, I'm not saying it doesn't work, but at times I was just literally like, it took me out. Also, sometimes where Gotham City Police Department wasn't really, about it, like literally stormtroopers. They were like the stormtroopers in Star Wars. Like, these guys can't get a break. They can't just, like, the henchmen are taking them out. And I get it. It works in the contrast, but for me, the ending is very powerful. It does great to set up the next movie, but that decline of Dent, like, you really feel for Dent, because he lost it all and his mind. Like, he's the guy who was humanized, and I think it was wise for them to keep Heath Ledger like the nutcase and shit like that. Straight, play him straight, just the nutcase. Nothing for you to like him. No redeeming qualities. Lies about his past. You don't really get a beat or have any clue who he is. Even at the end of the movie, you don't know really who he is. But then when you take it back and you're looking at how Dent, you know who he was. He had the happy ending. Everything was there. But then Bruce was also competing for that happy ending. And I feel that when you're doing a trilogy, the middle movie's the tough one. Not everyone gets an Empire. You know what I mean? Not everyone gets Empire Strikes Back. But Nolan, for sure, and it's both of them. The two of them together really made this movie work. And it doesn't feel like a superhero movie. And that's why I feel, to go off what Cyber also said, like, this is like that. Patterson can make $1 billion off his movie. There's nothing there. To me personally, there's nothing there. Like, this was like the first adult Batman that was really adult. This was the first time that you felt for everyone. You even felt for the Joker, no matter how sociopathic he was, because we have edgelords today thanks to the Joker in this movie. Like it became cool to be trolled and the tortured guy, and it all started. We don't get the Joker movie without Heath Ledger's Joker in this. Like we don't like, and no one else gave their grade, but for me the ending was real sad. Like, it's a sad ending, but it gets you charged up to see the Dark Knight return in the third one. So yeah, the scenes that the Nolan brothers weaved together, the cast that they put together in these scenes, like, it just doesn't feel like a superhero movie. And that's like the biggest compliment I could give something like this, is that the first one did feel like a superhero movie, whereas, you know what, I think Jeff's got a date on the way, so I'm just going to wrap up.
Don't be upset. Don't be thrown off by my cell phone, sir. It's just activity. When you're the shot caller for the MCU's Bleeding Edge, a lot of people in the content creation community hit you up on Wednesday night, and Thursday night, Friday night, and whatnot. Like, you get a lot of messages and texts. So
listen, OnlyFans girls are not content creators, man.
No, I wish it was an OnlyFans girl. It's not. I'm calling it, bro. Like in pixels, man. Like in Definitely,
the pixels.
definitely a chick, but she's not doing OnlyFans. Okay, so ratings. I'm going to give the film a 9. Andreas.
I'll give it. It's a 10 out of 10. It's one of the best Batman films of all time. It's not my personal favorite superhero film, but it's second. I mean, it's one of the best Batman films of all time. It delivers the Joker-Batman relationship so well. I just wish we continue with the Joker in the next film, which unfortunately it didn't happen. But thankfully, we have this performance to live on.
Aston.
I'm going to have to give it a 9. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you guys for letting me come on board and review it. The fact that I didn't have notes for like the last 45 minutes of the movie kind of is a testament to seeing it after maybe 5-6 years, that it still hits. Like, and it's a 9 out of 10. I haven't given anything a 10 out of 10. I probably never will as long as I'm alive. So it's a 9 out of 10. It's must watch. You should own it on Blu-ray, UHD, or whatever. You should own a copy of this. The trilogy is worth it just for this movie. 9 out of 10.
Cyber.
10. My favorite Batman film, 10.
Okay, folks, that is the end of our Dark Knight review. Thank you, gentlemen, on the panel. Appreciate you. We're going to go ahead and plug out of here so everybody can get some sleep and get something to eat and eat some vagina, maybe.
Smash some hoes.
Smash some hoes. So I guess Aston has a Twitch now, so he wants me to display. So we'll start off with him and his Twitch.
Thanks,
Okay.
Tom, for being in the section.
Okay. I'm streaming mostly 7th gen older games and stuff, like older Halo games. We're talking Left 4 Dead, pretty much anything that was out on like the 360 PS3. I'm playing it. Same with PC games around that era. I still don't have followers. I don't have enough hours built up, but catch me out there. I'm trying to do stuff Monday, Tuesdays, and Fridays. So check me out afternoon European time.
Catch me, catch me outside, he said.
Catch me outside.
Catch me outside. That's what I thought he said. Cyber.
Well, as always, you can check me out on my personal. Anyways, let me try that again. So, anyways, if you guys enjoy me here on the panel or as a moderator of the MCU'S Bleeding Edge, you can check out my solo content. Find me under Cyberneticshark, pretty much on any platform, from YouTube, TikTok, X, Facebook, Instagram, pretty much all of them. Any of them, you can find me there. My Patreon as well. You can see here my most recent video there, of course, is the trailer reaction to the upcoming Y2K film, which is the film directorial debut of Mr. Kyle Mooney. You might recognize Kyle Mooney from the SNL era of the last 4 or 5 years. He was on SNL for about, I think, six seasons, maybe 7. And he decided to leave to direct this film, I guess. That's what I'm assuming he left just recently. But yeah, just put that up. If you haven't seen my Borderlands review, check that out too as well. And just keeping on, putting up stuff for you guys. We'll have a Beetlejuice review up for you guys eventually. Saw that last Friday. Fantastic film if you haven't seen it. If you haven't checked out any of my shorts recently, you can see Children of the Corn, Bloody Muscle Bodybuilder in Hell, or Evil When Evil Lurks as well. You can check out my mini short of Beetlejuice as well. But yeah, just gonna keep up putting out some stuff for you guys. You might have seen a little delay in the last couple of days. I was unfortunately under the weather, so thankfully I was able to get that one trailer reaction up for you guys. So be seeing more content up soon, and just keep on trucking, keep on subscribing, keep on helping us making these milestones, and make sure to keep checking us out here on the MCU'S Bleeding Edge and get us to that 100,000 mark, people.
Thank you, Cyber. Andreas, pop culture guy.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the Dark Knight review. It was spectacular, Aston. It was great to see you, brother. So recently I posted yesterday a Beetlejuice movie tribute for honoring the sequel. I actually seen the sequel Saturday. I can agree with Cyber. It's spectacular if you love Beetlejuice, the film. I just recently posted tonight the part 5 of the Batman 89 comic, Shadows. Check that out. And tomorrow hopefully I can post my retrospective / review on the 1988 classic film of Beetlejuice. And hopefully I can start doing my shorts movie reviews. So starting with hopefully the 89 film Batman or the Beetlejuice sequel, whatever. So that's where I'm at. And I'm gonna do a poll in the MCU chat to see what you guys want me to review for live stream in 2 weeks, because I'm a little lost now. So I need you guys' help to point me out what movie we should do with Aston now, and hopefully Cyber could join again in 2 weeks, and Jeff as well. So yeah, so thank you, and I'm still growing, which is great. So please just continue my marks and all that.
And we'll be back on Friday. Cyber and I will be back for episode 5 of Rings of Power with William from Geek On Podcast and JREC 2000 that was in the comment section earlier tonight. Should be a great review. And we'll have the guys from the World Geek Podcast coming over for episode 6, the whole team, for a collaborative effort. They're covering Rings of Power as well over on their channel. We may come over there, me and Cyber, for episode 7. I don't know yet. I got to talk to Justin. But we're going to do another collaborative swap with another channel and, make content with them, and work off each other. So we got the Penguin coming up, and we got Agatha next week. Next Wednesday, Serin's coming back. Kim and Blair are coming back. Imran's coming back. The whole team, the whole squad is coming back. The whole Shogun squad is coming back for episode 1. So should be a really good episode. We haven't had Seren for a while. We haven't had Kim and Blair for a while. That'll be good. Hopefully nobody will be slipping on any rock and rope, any shit like that, any rock and rope sex toys or anything.
So thankfully, Serena is not in trouble with her parents anymore now.
Yeah,
she laughed hard.
Yeah, she became ungrounded, I guess. She became ungrounded, so she can now record again at like 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever the fuck it was last time.
What, Serene? Who's Serene?
Serene. You don't remember Serene?
No, I'm too old.
It was from that episode of Shogun where Cyber was like really down. He was like,
yeah, okay. I remember who he shit. I remember. Okay.
I was really down. What?
You were like really dour, like really like you were all laughing and shit throughout the show, and you were like really like serious. You were having a serious night. You were on the show and like doing your thing, but you were very serious. You were like cracking jokes and shit. Like Wrath of Khan was out there talking shit.
Oh, one of those episodes. I was probably irritated. Yeah.
You might have been, yes. Possible. But it was a fun show. And Kim and Serene were on. So anyways, folks, God bless you. Hopefully you you will find your Wakandan queen, or whatever you're looking for. By the time Friday comes around, come check us out on Friday for the Rings of Power. Come check me and Andres out. That's Monday on the MCU'S Bleeding Edge report for our 1-year anniversary show.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo!
Yeah.
And we will see you next time. Peace.
橋原までね、膝生地を回すこと以外にほぼデータがなかったんですが、ただもんじゃないですね。
結構ね、ルイズ・プリモ選手の情報って意外と少ないですよね。
少ないんですよ。SNS でね、膝生地を回しながら戦う姿の動画がですね、めちゃくちゃバズったんですが、その